So you guys filmed a roster announcement video that involved a lot of boxing.
Looks like he's
But it seems that considering Dignitas is 0-4, a lot of the punches have missed. So what do you think has been the root cause of a lot of the struggles, would you say personally?
I think there are a lot of issues. I think some of our earlier issues were because we chose to play a style of League of Legends that is very consistent and good when you do it right, but is difficult to do right. It's very different from the style that I have personally played in the past, so I kind of had to change everything that I was doing. And obviously there have been some hiccups on the way while trying to do that. I'd say for this week, though, the main issue was we would set down vision, we would rotate, we would do things without intention like that, and then we wouldn't use the tempo that we gained from rotations or the vision to actually take an objective. Like yesterday in the Jace game, for example, I was laning versus Ziggs. I could take top tier 1 on any wave with Demolish, but we just weren't doing it, which is 100% my fault. I need to call for that. I need to have more confidence in game. I think that my confidence was affected a bit by the change in play style, obviously, because I'm used to winning everything. I mean, I won everything in tier 2. Mm-hmm. So coming to LCS, it's like a reality check, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people describe certain teams' play styles, like 100 Thieves, for example, as high risk, high reward.
Yes.
And you mentioned a lot of like, it works when you win for your team. Would you then say it's like low risk, low reward?
I'd say the reward depends on how the enemy team responds. Mm. But the way that we play is supposed to be very low risk. Mm-hmm. Because by constantly moving around the map using our push and generating tempo like that, the fights that we do take are on our terms. Because let's say on one side we drop vision in the enemy jungle, then we rotate to the other side with a big heads up if they're trying to make a play on the other side. If the enemy jungle shows on his camps, then we can dive the other side that we're on, etc. It's like laying traps. It's the way that Gen G and T1 play a lot right now. Mm-hmm. But we are unfortunately not Gen G and T1.
That is true. And on that topic of Korean teams, you guys actually went for a boot camp, which is probably the first time Dignitas has touched international soil in a while. So run me through your boot camp experience.
It was tiring. It was a good experience. Dig and the coaches worked extremely hard to make it happen. We had Airbnbs that we lived in, and we rented what they call like a party room, basically. Mm-hmm. It's like one of these underground rooms all over Korea, and set them up with PCs and monitors and stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't have the right size monitors. We're playing like 27-inch, which is kind of weird, the giant screens, but yeah, it's fine. It was exhausting, like 20 hours a day, 21 hours a day of playing scrims, solo queue, everything, 3 hours of sleep at night. We're trying to get the most out of it because Dig put a lot of effort into it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Why do you eat 3 hash browns at a time?
Oh, so on the McDonald's menu in Korea, or well, like in general, the only breakfast item that they have, which is gluten-free, because I have celiac disease, is a hash brown. And I was starving and we're about to get on a plane. So it's like, I'm not going to be able to eat on the plane. I'm going to be on there for 11 hours. I need to get like some food in me, you know?
Mm-hmm. I actually do something very similar. I don't have any dietary restrictions, but I really dislike plain food. So what I'll typically do is before any sort of flight, typically a long one or an international one, I'll eat like 2 days worth of calories in one sitting, and then I won't eat for the next 24 hours.
That's actually goated. I like that. That was my daily eating habit before I joined LCS.
But were you taking long flights after or no?
No, not long flight.
You were just playing scrims.
Just long solo queue day.
Yeah. But I think also I really dislike using airplane bathrooms as well for anything that's not a number 1.
Yeah.
So I have to do that well in advance where I can still use the bathroom at the airport.
No, I feel that. It's way nicer to use the bathroom in the airport than on the plane.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, a lot of people talk about the benefits of a boot camp. I think there's very mixed opinions. Some people say that the greatest thing you gain is communication, being essentially isolated with your team. And then some people say you don't really gain much of that, but more so just micro. Mm-hmm. Where do you think you gained the most out of the most recent boot camp?
I think the most valuable thing for me was changing the way that I look at matchups and the way that I look at laning. I don't trade like a crazy person on waves. I don't really freeze anymore to try and generate a CS lead like that. Mm-hmm. Instead, my philosophy and how you should play the game and how I want to play the game is pushing, getting vision in the enemy jungle, getting vision in river, messing with the enemy jungle. Like today, I messed with Vi and made her drop the Drake, which allowed us to contest it afterwards. Doing things like that because I think that the return on investment that you get for doing that kind of thing and giving info to your team is more than the return on investment you get of just like getting an extra 5 CS by holding a wave or something.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that a lot of these concepts are a little bit new to you or not really what you were comfortable with in terms of your playstyle. Do you ever worry that sometimes playing more macro-centric might make you look worse individually? Is that something you ever think about?
I know it does. But I think it's worth it. Right now, we're in the placement stage. And if you look at the way that the groups are formatted, the seeding really does not matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's like, 1, 4, 5, 7 in one group, and then like 2, 3, 6, 8
it's pretty
in the other
RNG.
one. It's like just whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you're going to do, you're going to end up with 2 good teams, 2 bad teams. And I think that the main thing is that we need to make as many mistakes as possible right now so that we don't make them when it actually matters. Because nobody wants to go home early 2 splits in a row.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing I realized from this split that was a pleasant surprise is it feels like, while there's obviously teams that are a little bit better, such as FlyQuest or C9, I feel like for the most part, a majority of the LTA is anyone's game.
Yes.
Even like Lion, who people thought were going to be dead last or second to last, are tied for second at the current moment. So I think there's a lot of variance and a lot of chance for a story like Dignitas, for example, to perform really well in the BO3s. So, I mean, do you like check out at all mentally, or are you still like very much like you only care about the BO3s at this point?
I mean, I haven't checked out at all in regards to like wanting to win, you know? You can't do that as a competitor.
Yeah.
But my focus is more so on improvement than it is on getting immediate results.
Yeah.
Because if I really wanted immediate short-term results and I didn't want to improve as a player and play in the way that I thought would be good in the long term, then I would just stick to what I knew. I'd play very selfishly. I would, for lack of a better word, like, or better term, just like shove my fist down the enemy top's throat the entire game. I would never go for deep vision. I would never do anything. I would sit there and I would stare at them on their tower and I would just beat them until, like, under the tower until they have to reset or they have to make people come to answer. That's the style of League I always played. And so this is like, it's a completely different game and it's a big learning curve.
Yeah. Is there any, I mean, you mentioned earlier in the interview how playing a very team-centric style was a little bit of like a wake-up call of sorts. Do you feel like there's been any pleasant surprises in terms of like the top pool? Because I know you talk very confidently about being able to hold your own against the top laners. Do you still feel that way, or do you feel like, you know, what do you think about how you've been so far?
I still feel that way. I think that the best top laner in LCS is Thanatos.
I could agree.
I think most people would agree with that. He's the most consistent in laning. He understands what he wants to do in the game very well. I'd say second is probably Brippo. His laning isn't quite as good as Thanatos's, but he has some smart ideas. The only drawback is that sometimes the ideas can be not so smart. You know, because he takes everything to an extreme of it, like with proxying, all of that. So that can create a lot of problems at certain times. Thanatos is more stable. But I'd say the only top laner that I think is annoying to verse, like actively annoying to verse, is Thanatos, because he's just very consistent in what he does. But the consistency also makes him predictable, and that makes it easier, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's pretty much all I had in terms of what I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think you have to like really fix in terms of like going into BO3? Because BO3 is a totally different drafting style. Obviously, a lot more of champ pools are stretched. Do you anticipate any big changes for Dignitas personally?
I mean, I have to be more confident in game and say what I think. Like, the game was going all right up until a certain point, like where we all died at Herald. And the comms up until that point in game, we were legit like, we had no idea what to do. I think I said we can play back into Herald side, and then Kaney was like, oh, we can actually play into bot. And then everybody was just completely fucking lost, and we just walked up to the objective and all killed ourselves.
Yeah.
And that happens more often than not. Like, there was a game where we're arguing about whether we should wait for somebody to show on a top wave or we should fight in a banana bush. This was on stage, by the way. We're like arguing in comms during match. And there's no cohesive like leader in game who is providing tangible direction that everybody is committing to. And we are losing games when that happens. When we lose direction inside of the game, that is when we are losing.
Yeah.
And I really want to be able to fulfill that role, but that's a really hard thing to do as a rookie. And it's going to take me time, especially because of how many hiccups I have had while learning this new style of play, to gain the confidence to do that inside of the game, you know? Because I'm not even sure of my own decisions sometimes inside of the match.
I mean, we're almost at the time limit, but I think I have like a minute or two. So you highlighted something that's very interesting to me. In that situation, for example, where you think there's multiple ideas, is it more beneficial to have one person making the call, or do you feel like there's a more efficient way to kind of figure it out?
I think it's good for everybody to input information, such as if you have prio, what do you want to do, etc. But I think it's really important that decisive decisions that everybody commits to are made, like, because it's better, like you'll hear this even in tier 2 and tier 3, it's better for all 5 players to do something together that is wrong than for 2 people to do different things.
Yeah.
It's just, you just need to commit to the same thing. And we have to trust each other and we have to commit to the same thing.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, man.